All right, as a baseball fan, you probably come across a scene like that somewhere along the line, an umpire getting so fed up with the player that he eventually blows up. But what if these kinds of heated interactions were one day a thing of the past? We're talking about taking the human element out of the equation. As Major League Baseball has confirmed, it will be testing out robot umpires when players head to spring training early next year. So here now to weigh in on the prospect, former Major Leaguer, World Series champ with the Kansas City Royals, and new founder of Moonball Media and host of the Dig in Deep podcast, Eric Hosmer. Eric, so great to see you. Thank you for your time on this. So it turns out that teams in the minor leagues have actually been using this technology for a few years. I'd like to listen briefly to what an official with the Las Vegas Aviators, a minor league team out west, had to say about these robot umpires a few years back.
Yeah, I think people have the misconception that it's going to be a robot behind the plate. Lost in Space is one of my favorite shows. It's not the robot from Lost in Space back there.
All right, so as a former MLB player, what are your thoughts on how the league plans to use these potentially?
Yeah, so the MLB has the ability to test this out, whether it's in AAA, the minor league level, or spring training. So I like that they can test it out before making the rules set in stone. But at the end of the day, the players, the coaches, MLB, they want the calls to be right. They want to see improvement throughout the umpires. I think there's about a third of the umpires that really do a good job behind home plate, calling balls and strikes, and truly try to get better. But a majority of them right now have not. So MLB is trying to clean this up as much as they can.
Oh, wait, Eric, did I hear you right? You think there are only about a third who actually do a pretty good job?
I do. Listen, balls and strikes, being a home plate umpire is a very, very hard job. And as a player, you want to be able to communicate and understand where the zone is and all that. And I think now it's gotten a little too, the individual battles have really, the egos have gotten in the way with some guys. So I think they need to find that happy medium to get the call right. But at the same time, you don't want to take the human element out of the game. And it's been out of the game for quite a few years now on the bases. But let's see how it transitions over to home plate.
So do you think this ends up being implemented officially for the regular season?
I don't think for this regular season. I think there would be a lot of things that would have to move very fast, very quickly for it to happen this season. But again, we have spring training games. There's about 19, 20-something games out there where we can test it. I think we can learn a lot from the games this year and then use the whole season to plan out how they're going to go about this. But I don't see it happening this quickly this season.
And there are a lot of people who say, yes, humans can certainly make mistakes, but there is something to be said for having, real people there making the calls. What do you think about that argument?
It's the improvement, like I said. You want to be able to see the umpires. You want to see them truly trying to get better at their job and see some improvement, at least be held accountable. And honestly, it just hasn't happened in the MLB. There haven't been stats that come out about them, but at the end of the day, we just want to get the calls right. I think they want to get the calls right. I would like to see a human back there making calls, but I think the hitter or the pitcher having the ability to challenge a call here or there sounds like the most reasonable thing in my eyes, because at the end of the day, there are the handful of umpires that truly care about that and try and work hard and get better behind the plate. And you don't want to take that away from them.
All right, so Eric, you are a former major leaguer. You don't have to call them out by name, but what are some of the biggest mistakes from your memory that human umpires have made?
Oh man, I mean, there's been a couple.
Just too many to name, or?
Yeah, there's in every sport, right? I mean, umpires, the referees, but I don't know. There's not really one that really sticks out in my mind, and luckily that's the case, because you would hate for one of these big time games, a Yankees-Dodgers World Series game, to be remembered that way.
So last question for you. I mean, do you think, though, bringing this in, I know you said, it happens to bases, but behind home plate, do you think this is just the start? I mean, is there a way to maybe take out, the human mistake element out of the game completely?
It certainly seems like it's going that way. I think we learned a lot from taking the human element out of certain calls on the base paths. I think now an instant reaction for a fan is, the uproar, and then wait to see if the other team challenges it or not. So it does take away a little bit of the excitement. But again, we have the ability as a league to test this out in spring training, to test this out in the minor leagues and see what feedback we get and learn from it and see how we can find that happy medium.
We will see what happens. I always say it. All right, former major leaguer Eric Hosmer, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.